everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name's Nicole and today we are here to talk about Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead. So let's get started. Good evening everybody and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for taking some time out of your day and spending it with me while I prattle on about the books that I have read. So as I said, today we are talking about Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead. This was shortlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction for 2022 and it was also the last group read for that section over on our Discord. So basically for the last part of the year, believe there were 6 on the shortlist, Women's Prize for Fiction shortlist. And so we were reading one a month starting with the winner, and this was the last one that we read. This is following the story of Marion Graves and also Hadley Baxter. Now it is a dual timeline historical fiction centered around aviation, which I found extremely exciting to read about. I did not know I was interested in aviation, but I am a little bit. It mentions a lot of our, like Amelia Earhart and a few other people that made strides and like leaps and bounds in the aviation industry back in the day. So the first timeline of Marion Graves, this starts in 1909, and then the second one, I believe it's in 2014. Is the timeline for that, or present day. We'll just say present day, shall we? Because I can't remember the actual date. But Marion Graves, as I said, she is interested in aviation, and that comes about after, a series of events happened. And Hadley Baxter, I keep looking at the back because I keep going to say Bradley, but Hadley Baxter, she is playing the part. So she is playing the part of Marion Graves because they're now making a movie about her and her journey. So the Great Circle is actually she's circumnavigating the globe, and basically it starts off, as I said, in 1909 with the birth of a set of twins, and that is Marion Graves and her brother. And her mother is suffering from postnatal depression, and they go onto a boat, and the father is the captain of the boat, and he is moving some stuff for another gentleman, and his name escapes me right now. But anyway, he owns the boat, and he's moving stuff for the war because there's a war going on somewhere. I can't even remember. Was it a war? I think there was something going on, and he was transporting ammunition and stuff like that. Anyway, there was an explosion on because I read this back at the beginning of December. So there was an explosion on the boat, and the mother disappears. So you never actually know what happened to the mother. We just assume she pitched herself over. I just assumed she pitched herself overboard because she was suffering from postnatal depression. And so the captain, who is her husband and the father of the twins, goes back into the cabin to go and get them out and get them on the boat and all the rest of it, so he can do all the things that he needs to do as a captain. But he gets there and the wife is nowhere to be seen, but the twins are in there. So he grabs the twins and then he makes the decision, as opposed to passing them off to someone on the life rafts, he makes the decision to get on the life raft. So he's basically broken the law. He is tried then as a coward, but he saved his children, and the children go off to live with the uncle. The uncle looks after them, but as they get older, they sort of just fend for themselves, and they're quite, they're always going off on adventures and stuff like that. And Marion is quite the tomboy. She's very adventurous and loves any sort of, daredevil sort of activity, and she is friends with another kid that lives next door, and they subsequently as they grow older, end up having a romantic relationship, but it's not a romantic relationship because they just sleep with each other. And so basically one day she's riding her horse early in the morning, and 2 planes fly overhead quite close to her, and she's quite taken back with them, and wants to know more about it. And anyway, she rides up to him and she meets the pilots. One was a woman, one was a guy, and she looks over the plane and all the rest of it, and she goes up in the plane and she falls in head over heels in love with flying, and becomes obsessed with learning how to fly. Only problem is they're poor, they have no money, and it costs money to learn how to fly, and no one wants to teach her how to fly. So she takes it upon herself to earn money, and she becomes engrossed in the Prohibition era of collecting bottles, and she cuts all her hair off, and she dresses as a boy and all that sort of stuff. And it goes on from there. And then she meets a gentleman who is taken with her and wants to give her all that she wants, but at the same time wants to control her. So it's a little bit of a story with her, of her finding her feet in life and wanting to learn how to fly and be adventurous and push the boundaries and all the rest of it, but at the same time being held back by society a little bit. It was a wonderful book. Like, it was through that timeline, I found it to be really fast-paced, although it did jump. Like, 1 minute it should be talking a little bit about what happened, right now, then it'll be a month, and then it'll be years down the track. And it did flip and flop between certain characters, so you were going backwards and forwards quite a bit, although it wasn't jarring. I did not lose track of where I was or anything like that. However, at times I did have to stop and think about what character I was reading about and whatnot, so that it was a little bit jarring there. Now, it is basically following her timeline right up until through World War II, Prohibition, through the Depression, into World War II, and then into 1950, where she decides that she's going to fly around the globe, and she enlists a character that she met back in World War II, and they set off together. And I'm going to leave it at that. Then you've got the other timeline, which is Hadley. Not Bradley, Hadley. Okay, and she is a troubled Hollywood starlet. She is quite well known. She has been in a series for quite some time, and she's very much a self-saboteur of her own life. She is an orphan. She is living with her uncle. She was left to her own devices. That's the parallel between the two main female characters. And but I didn't really hold much interest in the Hadley timeline. I actually found it a little bit of a distraction into the story until the last third of the book. Then it made so much more sense. Could it have done without it? I would have just liked the book just to be about Marion Graves, sorry. And that's an author. Anyway, I would have liked to have just been about Marion Graves and the aviation side of it, because I found that just so compelling to read about, and and exciting, and like, it was adventurous. It was great. Like, I wanted to know what happened next, and then I'd get interrupted by Hadley and her ways and what she was up to and all the rest of it. But the last third of the book, it was really good that was in there, because it just started bringing everything together and tied it all up in a nice little bow. And but I did not see the last part of the book coming. It was like, oh my God, I did not see that coming at all. It just, the little twist at the end was brilliantly done. I thought, in my opinion, it was brilliantly done. Now, this was an incredibly long book. This is almost 600 pages, this book, including the acknowledgements. It was a bit of a slog to get through at times, and I think it was mostly the Hadley part that was making it a slog, because I didn't have any problems reading about Marion or anybody that was associated with Marion, brother and or her lover, or lovers and stuff like that. So it was just mostly the Hadley part that I was struggling with that made it a little bit of a slog to get through. But if you do pick it up and you find that it's a little bit of a slog, just stick with it, because it is well worth the read. I thoroughly enjoyed it. As I said, I have given this a 4-star rating. And as I said, it got knocked down a little bit just because of the Hadley timeline. It was still well done. It's not a poorly done book. It was, it well deserved to be on the shortlist. It didn't deserve to win, but it definitely deserved to be on the shortlist. And it was also on the shortlist for the 2021 Booker Prize. So yeah, so it's been shortlisted a couple times but hasn't won. But that is it for me today on this book. If you haven't picked it up, I highly recommend that you do. It is a good read. As I said, just try to persevere through the Hadley Barnes. They're not bad, they're just, I wasn't interested in it. You might find it really good. But as I said, that is it from me today. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and also hit that subscribe button, the little bell icon beside it, and keep turning those pages, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.